Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Did I Save?
Hello.
You both almost got a lot of Dr. Pepper on you. Sorry, unbranded soda on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Well, anyways, I'm Tay. I've got with me Ryan and Jared, as always.
He's got me with him.
That's right. And today we're going to have a conversation about, since it's the first episode of the new year, we're going to talk about what our expectations are for gaming this year. So I've got a couple... I got a couple questions.
How many remasters can we get this year?
Yeah, basically. I got a couple questions that I kind of want to pinpoint, get your guys' thoughts on everything. And then as we go on throughout the year, we'll go into more our regular segmented
I'll do my best.
podcasts.
I don't really like talking very much, so...
I mean, that's so true. We got to pull it out of you every time.
Everybody always sends us emails. They're like, why do you even have Jared on this show? He just sits there like a little
When you
idiot.
see my eyes like this, I want you to start talking.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically just a sandbag
I play
in the
games.
corner. Yeah. I play games.
I also don't work well under pressure.
So, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on. There's quite a few things that have happened recently, and what you guys expect and what you want to kind of happen this year. But the first thing that I want to ask you guys about, the Switch 2 was officially announced.
That's true.
So obviously we'll find more out in April once they do their full reveal. Mm-hmm. But what do you guys expect or want, or kind of go from
Honestly, I'm surprised that they showed any games at all, but Mario Kart, literally, I thought it was people in cosplay on a track somewhere. So realistic. They have really pumped up the graphics on this Switch 2. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Maybe it is literally unreal. I don't know what engine they're building it on.
That's true.
I mean, for me, the Switch was like, everything was so great about it, except for the performance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and I think that's what they thought as well, because that's what it seems like they've focused on. Mm-hmm. And like, they're like, it's just the Switch. It's a little bit bigger, which is really nice, because
I do enjoy the size upgrade.
yes, the size upgrade is nice. It's not just the screen size, but the controller, because it's awkward to hold.
Right.
For my giant hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're slowly moving back to the Sega mobile. What was it? The Game Gear.
The Game Gear. Yeah.
That just put 6 AA's in it, and then you could set your watch by it. 2 hours later, it was dead.
Yeah. Mom, I need more batteries.
Come on.
Yeah.
I can't afford you playing Sonic 2.
Yeah. Not again.
You remember when rechargeable AA's came out? It was like such a game changer.
Yeah, do you put your thumb on like the thing and you could see how much was it?
Oh man, I forgot about that.
You hurt your thumb trying to push the 2 points together at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. But I'm
This
excited
is not
for
a nostalgia episode.
Yeah.
We're looking to the future.
The
Tell me
future,
about the
that's
Switch
right.
2.
2025.
Yeah.
Better rechargeable batteries.
Yeah, I do like the bigger screen though, and it's
sure.
got more. It looks like the bezel's completely out, more like the Switch OLED. I do like that the controllers are bigger, because that is one thing. Is like when you hand off a controller to somebody and it's like, you play cramped.
Oh,
you know, it's very
Every
tough.
time we have to do that, I'm like, this sucks.
When you have to unlock
So
the
much.
controller off, and you're like, does the white little thing go down or up? And you like hit the black
to
button
try
to
it
slide the
right.
controller off,
Yeah.
and you're like, nope, I think it's the other way. And now they just like magnet.
I'll be interested, because my first fear watching this trailer is the 2 little like inputs that the controller like connects into are sticking right out. They're flush with the edge, so they're not like overextended, but I feel like that's going to be a failure point.
Yep,
like,
I agree.
Like that's gonna break.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing that takes the most abuse and then ends up getting like wobbly, because your friend keeps slamming it on.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
stop it.
Or you,
so
or you
rough?
have a kid who plays it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what that's like.
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's definitely going to be, and those Joy-Cons. I mean, they're only going to be more expensive. They're going to be like $100.
They're already $80.
I know.
And they're
wild.
fragile.
And they're fragile.
Yeah.
And no one used the motion sensing for it. I mean,
No.
take those out and charge me less, please.
Yeah.
But
Well, speaking of, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, controllers look good. Like the shape ergonomically looks like an improvement to me.
Yeah.
That whole trailer is CG. If you are watching and haven't seen it, but it is hard to tell how much they've actually improved like the physical design of the controllers. I'm worried about Joy-Con drift because that's something they never actually fixed. They will fix it for you, but they never improved that design.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see that. I love the screen taking up the entire front of it, but you're going to have to buy a screen protector. That's just
for sure. Yeah.
By default, that thing is going to get so scratched up when it's that close to the edge of the device.
I don't play mine outside of docked mode.
Oh, you don't?
Oh,
No.
I don't play mine docked.
Yeah, I don't.
I
either.
only play mine docked because of performance issues undocked. Like like so.
It
But
does help, especially like with Zelda and stuff. But the screen is almost too small for Zelda anyway.
I see myself playing it undocked, the Switch 2 undocked though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I
Just
hope
because
so.
it's more ergonomically comfortable for me, and the screen size being a little bigger, and their performance. Like if I can play because it's backwards compatible, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Which it would be wild if it wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able hopefully I can play the Zelda games like at least 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Consistently.
I hope that won't be an issue.
Yeah.
Have they announced what the actual guts of that thing are?
No.
That's what I'm most interested in and I'm waiting for. Like the CGI trailer, it's like, okay, cool. We see what it looks like. But it did not tell me near enough.
The trailer literally felt like a get off our back.
Basically.
trailer. Just
I
like,
agree.
Stop asking about
but
the Switch.
I
Here
mean,
it
they
is.
announced Elder Scrolls 6, 10 years ago? So we got a nice
that is
CGI trailer
true.
for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Maybe Skyrim will run on the Switch now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions I have. I want to know I'm glad that it looks like the Switch. I'm glad that they're not doing the thing Nintendo sometimes does where they just go in a random direction.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
But-
would have been a failure.
Yeah, 100%. Because, well, the thing is, like, I have amassed such a library of Switch games, and it is the only console. Like, I'm a PC gamer now because I don't want to have to keep paying, $500 for a system that's only, like, it's slightly worse than the laptop I have.
Yeah.
And my laptop does so much other stuff now that I just don't see the need to get a console except with the Switch, because the Switch fundamentally has a different use case where you are actually taking it with you. And it's Nintendo's games specifically are the like brand games that I still care about. I don't really care about Microsoft exclusives. I don't really care about Sony exclusives for the most part. So Nintendo is the only one with something that I actually want that I can't get somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I know they're never going to port Mario Odyssey to the PC. So I know that if I ever want to play it, I have to get the Switch.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an automatic upgrade for me, no matter what it is. Yeah. But none of my questions were really answered, except that, yes, I was right in what I thought this thing would be, which is a slightly better looking version of the Switch with better ergonomics.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see the guts and see what it's actually going to run.
Yeah.
It says that it's compatible with most Switch games, including digital, which is good. I'll be able to carry that over, which is a crazy thing to have to say in 2025. But with Nintendo, you never know. And I would really like to see what they mean by that. I've seen a couple of cases where they clarify like Nintendo Labo is not going to work,
for sure.
which obviously
makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm not particularly worried about that. But I would really like to see them not just work, but actually run better, like you were saying. Like, can I play Tears of the Kingdom at, dare I say, 60 frames a second?
I mean, I would accept just a smooth 30 frames per second. But
Honestly, like, and that's kind of Nintendo's like modus operandi is they don't care about high performance. They care about that's why their aesthetic design is so good, because it is very unique and interesting and it ages well.
Yeah.
So they don't tend to lean towards like realism, and so they don't tend to need those kinds of specs.
Yeah.
But I hope that they are cognizant of the fact that like if I could play Tears of the Kingdom at 30 frames a second consistently with better draw distance and more RAM for building stuff, if they just release an update
they'll have
where
to
you
go
can,
into the game and do that. Like, I don't even think if the Switch 2 or whatever, I think it's just called Switch 2, was 60 frame, could do 60 frames per second. I don't think if you put Tears of the Kingdom in it, it's going to run at 60 frames. I think that game's locked at 30, won't go above it. So they'll actually have to remaster it or something, or tweak it or update it.
And I'm sure, I'm not going to complain if that happens, but I have no expectations for that, and I would much rather them prioritize different aspects of of game performance than that. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, like one of the biggest stumbling blocks for tiers is how limited the memory is for building stuff. You just run out of the
That's
ability
true,
to
yeah.
add stuff. So
Yeah.
if they released a patch for that on the Switch 2 that like doubled the amount of things that you could use when you're
Yeah.
building or whatever, I don't know, because I don't know what the specs are.
It was crazy because like that was like the big draw for me was Tears of the Kingdom was like the building, and then I watched lots of YouTube people like on YouTube people building. And I was like, oh, cool, and no one ever mentioned the limit. Ever.
Yeah.
Not in the videos I watched. And I found out the limit after.
I was going to say, I don't think a lot of them were trying to build a fully used like Gundam model.
Yes, they were.
Where you can sit
swear.
inside it and pilot
There
it.
were like giant robots people made. They were just more simplistic than what I was
Yeah.
trying to achieve.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So I would love to see them expand old games in that way and make better use of the hardware.
Yeah.
But I definitely would settle for just stabilizing performance on those old
Yeah.
designs.
agree.
It does make me a little nervous that they're like hedging their bets a little bit with what games will be forward compatible. So that's my main concern after watching this trailer is like, what are the guts? What are their plans for carrying over games from the original Switch? What's the battery life look like?
Right.
Other than that, like, there's not a lot. I just honestly, I don't want a new device. I just want a better Switch,
Switch.
feels
Exactly.
like what they're shooting for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that way, I'm pleasantly surprised by not being surprised.
Right.
Basically.
Well, the original Switch is like going on 8 years old now.
Yeah.
Which is
mind
wild.
blowing
Yeah.
to me.
But I will say that because
would've
Microsoft
guessed
does
longer.
this, because I've been going through the 7th generation of games, and playing them, and a lot of their games they do like FPS boosts for those games or like some graphical enhancements, and I think that would be a selling point for the Switch too if they kind of
Like the Series X, you'll see it has like the Series XS logo on it, and that means it's been like enhanced for the Series X. Yeah.
So if they kind of do that could, because I'm sure they're going to sell a lot of Switch 2s no matter what. They won't sell. They probably won't sell as much as they did with the Switch because that would just the timing of that and all that stuff. But I think that would be a good way to implement that is if they did like they boost tiers to 60 or something like that. Because even Xenoblade 3, that's why I stopped playing it. Because I was actually really into it, is because it plays horribly.
Yeah.
That you can't.
It's the reason I haven't
stuttering.
beat
It's
Tears
like
of the Kingdom. Yeah.
Like,
it's like every 5 seconds.
honestly,
and it's horrible.
the performance on that game at every level is like the
like, why didn't you just wait? To be
level of
honest,
detail, like textures,
Look at their Pokemon games.
the draw distance, like everything about that game. Oh, I don't even want to talk about Arceus again.
Let's stop and talk about the Pokemon games.
let's stop.
Yeah, the only reason I own a Switch is because they're exclusives. Like I've got other hardware
Yeah.
that's just way more powerful than the
Right.
Switch. Like why would I own a Switch? Oh,
Yeah.
because their exclusives are great.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
all about use case and exclusive. Like,
Yeah.
I can not just that I can play, Mario Kart or whatever, but that I can play it in the car,
Yeah.
or take it with me, whatever. So, yeah, and that doesn't really I don't necessarily want to play Call of Duty on a Switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not really.
for sure,
That's
yeah.
not what I think of when I'm
Exactly,
thinking about the types of games that I
Yeah.
want to see on the Switch. So,
Well, the Breath of the Wild is the only reason that I actually have a Switch. Like the other exclusives that came with owning the Switch was great, but if it wasn't for Breath of the Wild's release, I probably still wouldn't own a Switch.
Yeah. I gotcha.
And then, but I mean, there's other titles that I'm super excited to play. Like
Yeah.
I love the Pikmin series and Mario stuff, but Breath of the Wild was like what made me get a Switch.
Yeah. And that just shows you how strong their IPs
Exactly.
are.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah. And to your point, I think well, I think we've probably beaten that horse enough. Anyway, go ahead.
That's all I had to say.
Okay. That's all I have to say.
So what do
I
you
made
think
my
about the proposed, it's kind of shown in the trailer. You guys watched the trailer, right? Both of you?
For the Switch 2. Yeah.
And how they had like the mouse thing.
I actually didn't see that.
Okay.
You mean the way that it's like
Skating across the ground or
yeah.
whatever. But when people were like showing the videos, there's like a small little like sensor to where if you put it down, it looks like you could probably use it as a mouse. I wonder if that's the new gimmick, and that's what most people are talking about.
interesting?
So people are saying,
That'd be cool.
I think that'd be cool.
So I
too.
can
It'd be
casually
interesting.
sand down the edge of my
Well,
Switch
there's a
controller.
connector. It goes on a connector. If you watch the video, it goes on a
Oh.
connector, and then it starts going across the table. Or
I'll have to
whatever.
So
look
I'm
at
going to
what
set
you're
it up
talking
like a
about.
little laptop.
So I
where
guess
use
I don't
both
know.
Switch controller.
But they're talking about Civ what's the new Civ coming
Civ
out?
7.
Civ 7 coming out or whatever. They're like, "Use your mouth."
Did you not research for this episode, Tim?
I watched.
I just knew it was Civ.
I watched Donkey's review of the Switch 2 trailer, which was amazing.
Yeah, that's
like,
probably the best way to take in that
the
information.
controller gets a little bit bigger in the CGI trailer. He's like, "Oh my gosh, the controller's bigger," and then the other one gets bigger too. He's like, "Oh, they're both the same size."
That's funny.
Yeah, it was an interesting approach to announcing your console that everyone already knows about. Like, there's a lot of weird elements kind of overlapping in that moment. But,
Right. Yeah. And you think about like just like normal people who probably don't even. And of course, we're like, "Oh my gosh, look at this!" And everybody's just like, "There's a Switch 2." And then they go to the store and there's like, "There's a Switch 2. Where's it at?" And
I imagine most people
Yeah.
that don't play games, who, if they watch that trailer, they would be like, "I thought this came out
Yeah, exactly.
before."
Isn't this already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be excited to see what games they announce and stuff.
Yeah.
But for right now,
I mean, that's
it's
the biggest
like,
thing for sure.
you know, I don't want a whole lot out of a Switch 2, and
Yeah.
it looks like they're meeting those expectations.
Yeah, like
they did the most un-Nintendo thing.
Thank you for
That's what I was
stepping
gonna
over
say,
the
is
bar
like,
that I put on the ground.
like Nintendo's thing seems to be like look at the
Yeah.
Smash Brothers DLC characters. It was like, if you don't expect it, that's what we want to do.
Right.
We don't want to give you the expected.
Right,
And it's like,
yes.
no, it seems like they actually listened to what people want. I think they might be looking at like the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck,
Yeah.
and they're like, ooh, that's maybe what we want to do.
Yeah.
That's the next
Sure.
step for the Switch.
Yeah.
But
We'll see. I mean, I would be open to them like pushing the boundaries out a little farther in terms of like what genres work well on that
Yeah.
device and stuff. But that's just not where my head is at. Like, I just want to see more cool new ideas from Nintendo. So.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I just want to be able to run their IPs smoothly and on the go.
That's all we're asking for,
Yeah.
which is not a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to play your games
yeah.
on your device
Or Zelda.
smoothly. Yeah.
And the price point is gonna be a small factor.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, honestly.
Well, you
Like,
know,
just tell me what it is and take my money.
as long as it's not, I don't think it's going to be in the same price range as the ROG. So
I'm thinking it's gotta be around like 500.
I think 400 is reasonable. If they're selling the original
I'll be
Switch for
happy.
300, let's go 400.
I'll be super happy if it's 400.
If it's 500, then I'm like, well, should I just get a ROG and just keep my old Switch and just play the games I have? Because obviously they haven't announced any games other than Mario Kart for like 2 seconds.
yeah.
But as of right now, there's nothing I can think of that I'm going to be like, I have to play this day one.
Yeah. If it's 400, I'll pre-order it. If it's 500, I'll wait.
Yeah.
And
see what
I'll
they-
And
get
they'll do like right in the middle, do 450.
Yeah.
They listen to us kind of.
Yeah.
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 I'll buy it day one, but I won't pre-order it.
Yeah.
I'll buy it day one, but I will be happy.
Which means I won't actually get one because
Yeah.
you won't get one unless
Oh,
you
yeah.
pre-order.
It's going to
So-
be just like the Wii.
Yeah. But this goes into my next kind of question is that Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, has been congratulating all of Nintendo about the announcement of the Switch 2 and blah, blah, blah. And he's talking about how viable it is. And he's wanting to bring a lot of their IPs from Xbox to the Switch 2.
Oh, cool.
And
I hope you
recently,
don't need employees for that because you guys are laying off a lot of people. over
Yeah,
there.
no kidding. And then, so Forza just got announced for the PS5. So my question is, do you foresee Xbox turning into a publisher in the future?
Yeah.
Just a publisher.
I think
knows, but,
I think
yeah.
Microsoft is increasingly. I mean, they just came out with that ad campaign where it's like, this is an Xbox, and it's like you can play their games everywhere. I think their intention for a long time has been to get away from
Console.
a dedicated console because
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of money you're
They're
dumping
like,
into a system.
we're a PC gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're I think attempting. Microsoft never really does anything very gracefully, but I think they're attempting to lean away from that and lean into their roots of PC gaming, where they're like, we want you to be able to stream our games onto a phone or a tablet or whatever, and not need a dedicated device to play what we offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that frees them up to get additional money from people like Nintendo and Sony,
Yeah.
because then all they have to do is release games, and dumping money into publishing instead of into a console that you don't technically need.
Right.
because
Yeah,
you're a
and they
publisher,
lose money on their consoles.
It
Yeah.
just makes sense all around to me. Like,
Yeah.
that seems like a very logical conclusion from the direction they've been pushing.
Yeah.
I think my fear is that Nintendo has tons of very unique, interesting IPs. Sony may or may not, depending on how much they keep canceling games.
True.
Microsoft does not really have anything that I think has inspired a ton of brand loyalty in this generation.
Yeah.
I think obviously they're moving away from exclusives, but to be a good publisher, you need a good lineup. And I think they've burned a lot of good faith over the past, 6 or 7 years in terms of like Halo did not land for people like they wanted it to.
Yeah.
Gears has not landed for people like they wanted it to. And Forza is Forza,
Right.
but that's
Yeah.
never going to be like this broad reaching game that everybody buys a console for. You know,
Yeah.
it's not
They've already reached
it's
their
not NBA
demographic.
2K or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I will be interested to see if that is the direction Microsoft wants to move in, which I think you're right that it looks that way. They're going to have to do a way better job of lining up games that are interesting, unique, you know, all the kinds of games that they had before they closed all the studios that were making them.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like such a backwards move to like try and foster these games that are like Hi-Fi Rush and
Yeah.
stuff like that are getting critically acclaimed. People seem to really like them. They're really interesting, so they make people pay attention to you, and then close the studio after they develop well-made, well-received games.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be a publisher, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
But you also don't seem to want to be a console producer, so what are you
doing?
doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really don't understand
It's
what
like they
their
keep,
long-term goal is.
they keep dipping their toes into the water and then just running away. But,
And that's
Yeah.
kind of been like Nintendo, for better or worse, like when they go in on something, they go all out just because Nintendo is an easy foil to Microsoft. But Microsoft
Yeah.
has always, in my experience, Microsoft consistently makes great products that they have no idea how to market, and
Yeah.
then they give up on them.
Yeah.
They made the Zune, which was like the best MP3 player, in my opinion, period. And they created a service where you paid like $10 a month. And it was like iTunes before iTunes even existed, where you got unlimited access to music that you could download and take with you, and you got a free album every month. So you're paying $10 to get an album permanently, and also just happen to get access to all music. And people made fun of them like it was the dumbest thing that they had ever heard of. Like, who would want to just lease music? And now look where we are. It's like they
Yeah.
were
Right.
too far ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And then they did the same thing with the Windows Phone. The Windows Phone was like super interesting. It had a totally different approach to what phones like how they should be navigated.
Yeah.
And they had tons of exclusive games that they were making specifically to play on there to make it like the gamer's phone.
Yeah.
Gave up on that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like every time they get close to the finish line, they just like,
We don't know what to do.
yeah, they
But
just,
like you didn't hear about that stuff.
yeah, because they
Yeah.
have no idea how to
Like
brand
you were the
or
only
market
reason I
anything.
knew about Microsoft having a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And
I bought like
the-
3 iterations of that phone. Like,
Yeah.
I was with them through the whole journey.
Yeah.
And I loved those phones. Like, I loved having them.
Yeah.
The problem was they never really know how to get third-party support on board in the same way.
They had
which-
like the Windows 8 on them, I think. It
so
was like a Windows 8.
they had a phone like that, which I think was more of like a PDA
Yeah,
kind of thing. But then I think they moved to a proprietary platform for their phone. But then they started trying to, it was a lot.
Yeah.
But my point is, this is just like one example in a long line of examples where I've learned kind of not to trust Microsoft until they've like made
They
the
can
thing and
prove
put it out
otherwise.
and I can have it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know it's not a long-term commitment to
Yeah.
buy this thing.
I think if Xbox goes to a publisher, we're going to see Sony go back to the PSP. I think we will.
Well, that would be interesting because, you know, Microsoft is also talking about doing a mobile device,
Yeah.
which is like part and parcel
Which is
with
a
them
laptop.
turning, like moving to a publisher role. It would be
Yeah.
like, they don't want to make a console, but in a way, I do understand how it makes sense for them to make their equivalent of the Switch.
Yeah.
Because if they want to be everywhere, if they want all of their games to be playable and everything,
Yeah.
they're already building the infrastructure to stream to devices. So
Yeah.
why not have a device that they can stream to that is dedicated? And,
Right.
you know, it's like having a game ported to something. You want something native for it to run on so that you can say this is where it works best.
Right.
So I still understand the logic of having something dedicated to their products that they can like hold up and say like, look, this is our thing. This is what it looks like natively, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I just have so little faith in you
Yeah.
to do anything interesting with that product.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we have ROG Allies, when we have the Steam Deck, when we have a Switch 2,
Yeah.
what are you possibly going to offer me?
With an Xbox,
And while you're also like, that's what you're saying with this hand. You talk with hands in this metaphor, but in this
With
hand,
this lip.
but in this hand, you're like, you don't need anything to play our games. Our games are everywhere. So it's like, okay, well, how are you going to pitch me this device then?
Yes.
Right.
If your
exactly.
whole
If you can
pitch
play
is
it,
I can play it anywhere,
Yeah.
what could you possibly do with this?
Then
to
you're
make
just
it
like
interesting enough?
specifically competing with the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
like, I
just a
would rather
weird
have
market.
a ROG because
Yeah.
I have ROG devices already and
Yeah.
I know I can trust them.
Yeah.
Well, even the not to get too far off, but like even the new
What are we on right now?
Legion Go, the new Legion Go
Yeah.
is specifically they're releasing a version that has just the Steam OS already on it, like ready to go and boot it up and great.
I can't even tell you how good
So
that
it's like
sounds to me.
I
would
agree.
Love
Exactly.
something that like I don't want it to be like the equivalent of an Android phone, but for gaming, where I have to like side load everything and
Right.
figure out how to
Yeah.
make it work.
No.
I would love a big picture mode on a console
Yeah.
or like on a handheld console, effectively.
Yeah, so
that I
they're
could
doing like
just
a
play
Windows
anything.
version and a Steam version, and it's like you said, it's like if Microsoft, like I could see them doing maybe one more generation after the Xbox Series, but it's like outside of that, it's like maybe they'll do one more, but then they're just not.
If they do one more, which they may, like I would be surprised if they don't. To be
I
honest,
would be too. Yeah,
But if they do, it's going to be if they decide to make another console, it has to be some kind of transitionary device.
Yeah.
That is like streaming only or
Instead of
something.
just a giant
You know what
bird.
I mean? Yeah. Instead of just a giant tower that you can kill people with.
You can slap big old stickers on them though.
That's
That's
true.
right.
That is
Yeah,
the best
exactly.
part. But I'm looking at Talon's the Model S over there,
S,
and
yeah.
it still has sticker capacity.
that's
so-
the only thing that's really been keeping Microsoft going is because the S is so cheap. And it's like half. It's like 50% have the X and 50% have the S, and it's and plus they were more readily available and stuff like that.
I just
so think,
Microsoft is just constantly cutting themselves off at the knee. Like I love their controller, but I don't need their console because I can just plug that controller into my laptop and I
Right.
play my PC games.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
run better and they look better, and I can use other apps while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
and I can mod it, and they don't have that same level of control.
Yeah,
that like
and they've canceled so many great projects like Scalebound, the Phantom Dust remake. I'll be bitter for those.
Dude.
And it's just like,
I don't even want
and then they didn't have anything. They didn't have any games.
Yeah.
and then it's like now it's like I feel like they're finally starting to find their footing because this year I think is going to be a very big year for them. But with this new campaign that they're doing, it's like. So I can play them anywhere. So who cares?
Yeah.
So it's like, why do I need an Xbox anymore?
Yeah.
And
Well-
and that sucks. I think that's. I mean, that just seems like the
I'd
wrong
be
way
surprised
to go.
if we
but
see
I
just
think,
another Xbox.
Yeah.
I think they will do at least one more.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think in the future, I think they'll just go the Sega route and
I
just
think-
turn into a publisher.
The only thing I can imagine really, well, first of all, I think they should flip. I think they should make the Dreamcast 2. I think Sega should become a console manufacturer
Oh, man.
again, and Microsoft should be the publisher and make lots of cool games.
There you go. Yeah.
But I just think it's probably going to look something like a device that supports the handheld that they will be coming out with a couple years after that console releases, right?
Yeah.
Like they've said that the handheld is far down the road, but I can't imagine them not designing those two in tandem with each other.
I agree.
So it's
Good
probably
call.
going to be some kind of extension of like it makes streaming more reliable. Like
Yeah.
it's basically
Yeah.
not even going to be a console, but more
Yeah.
of like some variant on a
Well, they
modem
could do
or router.
what they did with the Series X and S is they release one box, or you can buy the handheld.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that.
Yeah. Pair them together.
Yeah,
That-
obviously
that would
the handheld's
make
going to
most
be
sense.
weaker, but whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
but I think whatever their console is will be designed to make you want their portable device.
Yeah.
If that's the direction they go. But it's Microsoft, so maybe they will directly oppose each other. Maybe they will like if you buy this, your handheld will explode.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
Sorry.
They'll cannibalize everything. That
Yeah,
they
maybe
make.
they
Yeah.
love cutting themselves off at the knee.
Yeah.
So
It just seems weird that I don't know. Microsoft bought all these studios
Yeah.
to have exclusives, and now they're just like, they're going to be on everything now. And it's like, it just seems
and also we're only going to keep the studios that make like $1 billion a
Yeah.
day.
right.
So,
yeah. So that
No
goes into
which is like just very quickly.
yeah. Go ahead.
The thing that really made me a diehard Xbox fan over Sony
Mm-hmm.
was their their indie showcase thing that they used to do, the summer of games kind of thing, where they had lots of like very small indie games that nobody was fostering that kind of game in that space in the way that they were. And that's something that they're aggressively moving away from. So for Microsoft to do something I care about, they're going to have to do a lot, because right now I have Game Pass, and if a game piques my interest, then I will play it. And if not, then whatever, I'm paying $10 a month and there's lots of other games. There you go. Yeah. So as a publisher, they're going to have to do way more to pique my interest, I guess. Yeah. And I don't know if they know how to do that.
I don't know how sustainable Game Pass is either, though.
I think,
you know what I mean? Like if they do go away from consoles, that way they can kind of focus on Game Pass, then that makes more sense, because that way they're not wasting all their money, because of course they have to buy it and blah blah blah. But
it seems like that's the reason why they're buying all these IPs and studios is so they can broaden their Game Pass.
I think Game Pass itself becomes a service, right? You can download the Game Pass app on your PS5 and you can play all of Xbox's games. Right. That's probably what that looks like.
I mean, you know, that comes to my next question: is how is game exclusivity important?
Of course.
But how is it important?
How is it important?
Yeah.
Because I can't play my game I want to play.
I don't know. I don't know if it is like. It is Sony's if you own your own console. Yeah. It is if you're Nintendo. Because you are positioning yourself in a place where you're not competing on a hardware level. You know your device is weaker. You know your device is not the same use case. Nintendo is smart in that they have fully differentiated themselves in what you expect of them, whereas Sony and Microsoft are trying to do the same thing but better. Yeah. So I think that's why Nintendo has been so successful, is because people don't think they're going to be able to play the new Call of Duty at 120 frames a second on the Switch. That's not what they care about. Yeah. Whereas, me too. But when you think about exclusives with Nintendo, you think about personality. You think about
that's what I was saying,
creativity.
That's the only reason I own a Switch, is because they're exclusivity.
Yeah. So I think exclusivity matters, but I think it matters in the sense that you need to. Your exclusivity should be an extension of your brand personality. Yeah. It doesn't matter in the sense that we just have games that you don't have, because if it's Gears of War and Halo and people don't, not that they don't care about those franchises, but that they don't have the same expectations for them. I don't think if you looked at who would be willing to stand in line at midnight for the new Halo game, it would be a shadow of what it was when Halo 3 was around or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? So exclusivity only matters insofar as people expect your exclusives to be very engaging and compelling and unique. Yeah. And at this point, it's like, I think everybody just has their favorite brand of, gaming peanut butter, and it's just like, well, I like this third person open world action RPG more than this one.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo's grown their IPs, and Xbox is just trying to buy all of them up. So it's like, I don't know, Nintendo's IPs feel earned, they've just put so much into them.
Yeah. Very cultivated.
Yeah. While every single Gears of War that comes out is just like the last one. Yeah. With one or two new things. And it's just every Zelda game is vastly different. Every Mario game brings something crazy new to the table. Right. And the next Halo game is the next Halo game. The next Gears of War is the next Gears of War,
Yeah. Yeah. But would you be opposed to Halo being on the Switch? Or
no, PS5? I'm not in high school, so I'm not opposed to
well, I mean, just you know what I mean? Is I don't know. It's just because with the direction that Xbox is going, it's going back do you bought these studios, so your exclusives no longer matter. Yeah. Because now you're just going to ship them on everything. Yeah. So, that just goes back to, well, why?
So it's why? So are you saying
yeah.
Is exclusivity important in the sense that I don't want certain IPs on other consoles, or
I mean, as a consumer, I would prefer to be able to play them wherever I want. You know what I mean? But I just think it's
that's the best case scenario is exclusivity matters because it exists. Yeah. And so
is it good for us to have exclusivity though? That's the thing. It's as consumers, you know what I mean? Because it's well, if you could play.
It's not
Mario
ideal for the consumer.
My answer to that
but is it healthy for You know what I
The
mean?
industry.
The
For the
economy.
industry. Yeah. No, not for for the industry, because then
It's
that
great
way
for Phil
we can.
Spencer. He loves it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. The way he's leaning now.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I
He
mean?
doesn't seem to love it.
Yeah.
I think it's a very valid question. I think, does exclusivity matter? It's a fundamentally different question for Sony. Like, if we're looking to the future and we're looking at, like, we'll presuppose that Microsoft is very intentionally trying to move towards becoming just a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo has their own thing. They're the weird kid in the corner eating crayons. And then you have Sony, who
Colorful
has, like,
crayons.
they're now the person in the console space. Their exclusive, the nature of how it matters to have exclusives, I think, is different for them than it is for Microsoft, who is now a publisher. Like, in a way, I think exclusivity actually matters more to Microsoft as a publisher, because all publishers have to be putting out good games.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a console that you're selling, people will buy your console because there is an umbrella of games underneath it. So it's like, you can have many different publishers publishing stuff on your PS5, but if all you are is a publisher and you're not making any interesting games, Microsoft could actually be sabotaging themselves long term, because they haven't thought about what it means to be a publisher in that space.
Yeah.
I do think on some level Microsoft is making this assumption that they can leverage their reputation throughout their console making history to get people to just trust them.
Yeah.
But I think they are probably underestimating the amount of goodwill that they've burned, at least in the people that I know and talk to. I think exclusivity matters to them, because if you want to be a publisher, then you need games that matter.
Yeah.
But exclusivity matters to Sony, because if you want to sell a console, you need games to sell that console. So their motivations are different.
Yeah.
But I think it matters for both. Nintendo obviously is, like, probably the example that you should look to for how to execute exclusivity.
Yeah.
Since people, like, it's kind of like the Disney of video games. Like, people just have such a die-hard love for Nintendo.
Right.
And that used to be true with all three, but I think it's decreasingly so. I don't hear a lot of people talking about how much they like Microsoft or Sony, but I still see people buying, Mario stuffed animals and stickers and,
Right. Yeah.
You
Lego
hear a lot
sets and everything
more
else.
a love for Sony's exclusives than Microsoft's.
Yeah, I
Microsoft's
think-
exclusives, like, what is there besides Halo and Gears of War?
Well, that's the
I mean,
thing.
there's
They kind of killed them all.
Forza, but it's like, but a lot of them, it's just like Fable. But when did the last Fable game come out?
And that's my point. It's like when the Xbox One came out, there was like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like, what are you doing?
Even when the Series X came out.
Yeah, it's like, I like their controller. I like their interface. I think that they have a better overall with multiplayer. But it's like, if you wanted to play a game with exclusives, you always went to Sony or Nintendo.
Yeah.
Bring back brute force. That's what I'm saying. Like, what are you guys doing? Why do I have
Like
to tell you?
Last of Us, God of War.
Yeah.
Like
Horizon.
Yeah, it just
Horizon
goes
Zero
on
Dawn.
and on. Yeah.
All of those
Bloodborne
David Cage games.
2.
Yeah.
Still waiting, man.
Jason.
By the time this episode
Jason.
releases,
A modern classic.
A modern
I
classic.
saw someone streaming that game
makes
the
no
other day,
sense.
and they were like, why do they sound like they have an accent? And I typed in the chat, it's because they're all from Montreal. LOL.
Lol.
all these people in Ohio are actually from Montreal.
I mean, do you think Microsoft would be more successful if, like, Sony had their console and Nintendo had their console, and that was just like a console war with them, and Sony was like putting all their games on both of them? Do you think that would just be what Microsoft should do?
I don't know. I think it sounds weird.
From a consumer perspective, I don't think exclusives are good. I don't think that they're helpful. I think
Yeah,
that
I mean,
exactly.
the main advantage of exclusives is that it forces people to be on your platform.
Right. Exactly.
And if I don't want to be on your platform, but I do it because I don't have any other choice to experience that medium, then I'm not doing something in the same context. I don't want your dumb $500 console.
Yeah.
But what choice do I have?
Yeah,
Well, that's like PC is now moving to, or not PC, gosh, I'm so sorry. Sony is now moving all of their exclusives to PC now.
Yeah. Well,
Which is great. I think that's a great thing.
It's fantastic, but it muddies the water even more in the sense of like, what are we doing here?
Right,
Like
yeah.
with Microsoft and Sony specifically, what are you guys doing here?
They're putting everything in the same pot, but they're like, meh.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's very strange.
It's oil and water, but they keep putting them in the same bottle. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you trying to like? I know you want more money. That's obviously the end
that's
goal
the whole
here.
point.
But like,
Right.
what I would love to see the thought process behind like, let's go all in on exclusives. We don't care about consoles anymore. We're going to start publishing games. People will know us as the biggest publisher in the world, and then we're going to close most of those studios.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Okay, so it's like buy all the studios, close all the studios, question mark, profit. How? I don't understand.
I mean, I agree. I mean, it's baffling.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's why I wanted to get your thoughts on everything.
Oh yeah.
I've talked at length about how Microsoft is going down the wrong path and how exclusives are bad for customers. And now, what else do you want to know?
Well, now here's my thing. Since we're talking about
I'm all fired
studio
up.
closures,
Yeah.
so more studios are shutting down. Sony canceled 2 of their new live service games. They canceled a Horizon multiplayer one and a God of War multiplayer one.
Yeah.
Shut both of them down.
Wow.
Cancel-
I actually didn't know about either one.
Cancel all live service games.
Yeah. So now that they're canceling,
That's my
how
hot
should
take.
they go about changing this dynamic about closing all these studios?
Stop chasing fads.
Man.
Stop that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? First of all, live service games specifically, I've never, spoilers for anybody listening, I've never developed a video game. Never made one. I don't know what that takes.
Yeah.
I can tell you that making a live service game is a huge undertaking, risk,
Yeah.
investment,
Yeah.
with an increasingly low payoff.
Yeah.
Like live service games were the new hotness a long time ago before people realized that you can just make like hamburger holograms as an emote that costs $2 and all the kids will buy it with their parents' credit cards. Like,
Insane.
the quality of content in live service games is increasingly diminished over time. But the thing is, the investment that developers need to put into that game has not.
Yeah.
If anything, it's increasing. So why are you putting all of your eggs in these baskets of like, we'll make a God of War game where...
Because
I mean, I know exactly why.
of the monster that is Fortnite.
It's not
for
just
sure.
that. It's
Yeah.
because it's so easy to pitch this my marketing background. I know from experience. It's so much easier
Splash
to
some
go
water
in and
on 'em,
say,
yeah.
we're going to make this game and it's going to make us money for years.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Grand Theft Auto? They introduced a multiplayer mode and now they just make $1 billion a month forever.
Yeah.
We could do that. Why can't we do that? People love God of War. We'll introduce a new axe every week and his son can have new arrows. We'll make them
Just a world full
Yeah,
of
like-
Kratos is running around with his
listen,
son.
we'll do licensing tie-ins.
Boy.
We can make maybe Kratos could do like the Rickroll dance.
Yeah.
And we'll charge him
Yeah.
$5.
Kratos is
It's just
in
like,
Fortnite. I don't need this.
You just
Yeah.
pitch all these like buzzwords to investors and they have no idea what it takes to do that.
Yeah.
But it sounds great. And
just
they're
some guy at Shark Tank. Just like,
it's
take my
somebody
money.
watching the news in the morning while they have their morning cocktail because they're raging alcoholics. And they're like, these companies are making so much money from, what is it, a live service game? I don't know what that means, but why don't we have one of those at our company?
Yeah.
Right.
And then they push that button and now it takes, what was it like, the last live service game that came out? I can't remember.
$400 million.
Yeah, what 5 years and $400 million,
And to nothing.
and they didn't even make it free to play. Like
Right,
that
yeah,
seemed
it's
like the most
$40.
obvious choice of like. But when it came out, Overwatch was the hotness, and they were chasing that, but they never pivoted. They never updated like their pricing structure or their content structure or anything.
Yeah.
They're not paying attention to what's happening in the space. They're literally just like, this is my big problem with AAA games in general right now,
Yeah.
is they are all just chasing a fad that takes them 3 years to catch up to. And when they finally come out, they don't look anything like modern games in terms of like what they're offering you.
Yeah.
And you just end up in this like cesspool of like half finished games that it just reeks of monetization. Like all of it is just a way to squeeze every last penny out of you. And that's fine from an investment standpoint. That's fine when there are 3 of those out.
Yeah.
When every publisher that exists has 3 of those out, it's not going to work anymore, because the thing is, live service games inherently rely on people picking their favorite and then dumping money into that over time.
Yeah.
But live service games require a lot of time investment from the player. Like, look at Destiny. Look at when you play Destiny, that's what you do. Like, you're barely a gamer anymore. You're really just a person who plays Destiny.
Yeah.
So expecting people to have 3 or 4 of those kinds of games is not going to, it's not, exactly. You were a scaper, as they call it.
No, that makes sense though. Yeah.
And I just don't think that, like, the people who are in charge of these decisions actually have no idea what it takes to execute any of this, nor do they care.
Yeah.
When the game fails, they dump it and they move on to the next thing and they never think about it again.
Yeah.
And it's bad for the whole industry, which is why I usually just end up looking towards indie games. I'm not talking about you, Monster Hunter. I love you, and you know that. But every other game, I don't care. No, Doom, same thing. Listen, there are some good games coming out this year, and they are AAA.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm not. I'm arguing,
but they're
that,
focusing on what they do best, rather than trying to. You know what I mean? They're expanding on what they've already built instead of being like, well, this is popular, so this is what we'll do. You know what I mean?
It's just it's frustrating to see them like not to be excited about like what they can push video games to do. They're more excited about how they can
how they can push gamers to spend money.
Yeah. That's what their research is going into, which makes sense. They want to make money, but it just seems like they would also be successful if they would just push video games. To do new and exciting things.
Right.
And I don't know, like there was a big boom in like VR and just like, you remember like Minecraft's like VR thing, or you could like, and like a bunch of that stuff just like died.
Well, Microsoft was working on that, so it doesn't get finished.
I don't know. And
it just sucks to see, just because like when you were talking about, oh my gosh, Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They pour their heart and soul into this game.
Yeah.
It makes money, wins all these awards, but they're like, well, it's not continually to make us money.
Yeah. How are we supposed to make this into a live service game?
Right.
Why did you even make this?
So they close the studio, and then the studio just gets bought out by a different studio who's like, you know what? We're going to keep this going.
And that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
That they get bought out by another company for pennies on the dollar.
You don't think Night Rain's going to be a live service multiplayer game, do you? Oh, man.
I mean, it's a co-op online. I'll let you know when.
If I can't hit the gritty in this game, I'm not going to play it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because I was really confused when you look at Night Rain and you're like, it's not DLC, and then it's like a standalone, and it's like 3-player exclusively
co-op adventure.
Co-op adventure.
Yeah. So it'll be
interesting way to say battle royale.
It's going to be one of the weirdest things.
It definitely is going to be strange.
Yeah, but
better have three friends.
That's a summary of my feelings about live service. Live service games are a microcosm of chasing fads in the industry that is hurting everybody equally.
Yeah,
and it's killing the industry because these studios keep getting laid off because they're making good games that don't make $1 million a day.
Yeah,
when that's never the intention. Like, it kills the. Like, to get up on my high horse as if I'm not already, it kills the medium as an artistic form.
Yeah.
To constantly push games into a monetized structure.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just keep playing Citizen Sleeper or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I want games to talk about something that they care about. I don't want games to let me hit the gritty.
Look at EA and the new Assassin's Creed. Yeah. And it's a $70 title. And then you can pay $90 to get the content that they took out to include in the deluxe edition.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It always feels so disingenuous that okay, you
There's
guys
like
are
a whole
always
quest, and
it's like paying the $100 edition so you can have it 7 days early, and they do that for like content creators. So they're like, oh, you'll have it first. And it's like, well, those games already.
It just seems sleazy.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's just. I mean, I get it. You're a business. You have to make money, but if your game is good, it will do well. Yeah. In theory, you know what I mean. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, in theory, if you just make a good game, it's gonna do well, and people are gonna talk about it, and that's more important, I think, than just
Not just that,
Just,
but
you know what
like
I mean?
it's the space between there. It's not like either they have to make no money or they have to squeeze us for every last dollar
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
If you want me to buy this game that I can play early,
Mm-hmm.
make a collector's edition with something I actually care about in it and include getting early access to it in there.
Right, yeah.
Don't charge me $30 extra, and then what I get is like a digital soundtrack, an art booklet
Yeah.
that's 7 pages.
A digital soundtrack that you can't download.
Yeah.
And you can
and
only
7-day
listen to
early
it.
access. It's just like what I don't. Yeah, exactly. It's like the value proposition is not there for me. But when everybody's doing it, it really doesn't matter what the value proposition is because it's either do you want it or not. It doesn't.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah.
Like you're going to buy it or you're not, and
Yeah.
so we're not going to put any more effort into making this valuable to you.
Yeah, I got burned with Valhalla, and I won't be buying the new Assassin's Creed.
That's a shame.
No. So a lot of the previews are people are like, "It's me."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
They're ready to move
I don't
on
know
already.
how they've been.
I didn't
working
buy
on it
an
for so
Assassin's
long.
Creed game before Valhalla since
The last Assassin's Creed
Forever.
game that I played was
Odyssey?
2.
Wow.
Was 2. And I said, I,
played.
don't like this very
I
much.
got got all the achievements on 1, all the achievements on 2 and 3, and then I think I played Odyssey, and then they had another one come out after that, didn't they?
They had Origins, Odyssey, and
Origins.
then Valhalla.
Okay, so I played those 2, and those were back-to-back releases, I guess
Yeah.
technically.
Yeah.
I think if I were going to play any of them, I would probably play the new one that's coming out, so, like aesthetically.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I
Shadows.
didn't buy Valhalla, I'd probably buy Shadows. But
It has a base building.
yeah, I saw it. But
I thought about you. I
Say
was like,
less,
Ryan might be
Ryan.
interested in it now. Yeah.
it's not gonna
just
be.
wait an hour. Or
It's
wait
not
an
gonna
hour.
be good.
Is
Wait.
it like Fallout
Oh, I have no idea.
MMO?
I
saw
them
like a
moving
glimpse.
houses and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the thing. It's gonna be like move this big old giant building over here, or do you want it over there? It's
Yeah.
not gonna be like Valheim or
Right. yeah,
Enshrouded or anything
Yeah.
like that.
When
but
you said Valhalla initially, I thought you were talking about Valheim, and I was like, I thought he liked that game.
oh, I love Valheim. Yeah.
I do want to build stuff, and I do like being a ninja.
Yeah.
And I haven't played Assassin's Creed.
I could be
20
wrong about
years,
the building.
Just
and
give me a Tenchu game, man. You know.
playing the new Ninja
Now
Gaiden
you're
before you
talking.
play.
Well, yeah. Ninja
Shadows.
Gaiden. Yeah.
I'd rather play Tenchu over Ninja Gaiden, but that's my
Oh,
hot
I
take.
love Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
I like forgot how much I loved it when I played the
Yeah, it's fun.
the 2.
Just pure action.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it feel-
fun.
like
More
you should-
blood.
yeah, it's fun, man. It's like action.
That's what I missed about it. Yeah,
Action
it's
packed.
just the games are fun.
And you feel so like doing the wall jump. I was like, whew,
Yeah.
smooth.
Speaking of fun,
Mm-hmm.
what games are you guys looking forward to this year? Is there anything that you're just like, this is it?
I like talking about exclusivity and crap. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I am very excited for the new Fable.
yeah.
I just want to see it.
I know,
just want to
dude.
see
I know,
it
for real.
It's just like this huge thing that's taken up half of my brain. Like,
Be careful what you ask for.
I know. That's why I'm like, just show it to me so I can move on
Yeah.
in one direction or the other. But I just need to move.
I need to
from where
know.
I'm at right
Yeah,
now, which is just
yeah.
in a cloud of mystery.
Well, we can't show it to you yet, but if you will pre-order it for $120, you're guaranteed the Chicken Chaser emote.
The thing is,
Chicken Chaser.
yeah.
Yeah, Chicken Chaser. I need
Like
to go back
if
and
there was
play
like a
those now.
collector's edition that came with all the crap, I'd be buying it because I'm a sucker. But like Fable changed my life.
Yeah.
The first Fable game changed my life. It's such a huge
And that's
deal.
what this podcast is about. Man.
Yeah.
It's a
And
weird way to say that it ruined your life, but yeah.
no, that was two was disappointing, and then 3 ruined my life.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But yeah,
1 changed it, 3 ruined it,
Yeah.
2 did nothing to it.
yeah, but
This porridge is too hot. This porridge
but that's
is
what
too
like
cold.
that's what Fable did was they like, how can we? It was just like a passion project, and they're like, here's a video game.
Yeah.
And like, here's what we want to do with video games, and it just doesn't seem like that happens as much anymore.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, talking about the 7th generation games is just so far to me have been unbeatable.
Yeah,
You just they haven't come close to it, and they haven't been able to touch it since.
yeah,
They're trying to play catch up, and they're too far behind.
yeah,
So, and it sucks to see.
yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
But no, I mean, I'm
Fingers crossed,
I'm excited
hey.
for the Fable too. I mean, I'm also excited for Fable.
You're excited for The Fable, which is the
Fable.
reboot of Fable.
The Fable.
if they call it Fable 2, I would say that's a pretty good move.
forget about those other games.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm hoping, man. I'm really hoping.
I know there's people that love 2 and 3.
Yeah,
and they're
I
fine
enjoyed
games.
2 more than 1.
They just went in a direction that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Fable
I can see
1
that.
was.
Well, I hope
top
you're ready
notch
for
me.
more of that.
Yeah, we'll see. 2025 though, what other video games could I be excited about? I mean, Night Rain, obviously, for better or for worse. Like, I'm just curious as to what the heck is
It'll
going
be
on
interesting, and I mean, it's still done by Miyazaki, right?
there. Yeah,
So
like, it's not going to be bad, right?
yeah, I don't think it can be bad.
It'll definitely be different. but
Bloodborne
there's nothing wrong with being
3,
different.
since 2 is going to come out by the time this podcast is done editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did. I just saw this morning that they did have someone who made a Bloodborne 60 frames a second patch or
PC.
something for that, and they made them take it down. And everybody's like,
Oh, it got taken down?
Yeah. They're like, does this mean they're going to renounce it?
You
I'm
can
like,
find it somewhere.
I was like, or not. I
Yeah,
don't
or
know.
they're just being litigious. Could be that.
Exactly. Yeah. So
no, I
but-
saw some gameplay of it. I was like, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. But no, I'm well, Citizen Sleeper, have you played it yet?
It's the second one.
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay.
I have listened to a podcast about it, and it sounds
So why play it?
exactly like what for the story. I know you don't do that. Some of
But
us
you already
like
listened to the
stories.
podcast that tells you the story.
It
Yeah.
didn't tell me the story.
Yeah.
I preliminarily will say that Citizen Sleeper 2 will be in my top games of 2025.
Wow.
But there's
That's a
really
lot.
only one game that I'm thinking about all the time,
Monster
nonstop,
Hunter
without stopping. It's Monster Hunter Wilds. Sorry to
Yeah.
keep
That's
bringing
true,
up Monster
but-
Hunter. But I played the beta and loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the changes they're making. I feel like Capcom is slowly recognizing that people don't like doing the most backwards method possible in navigating menus and
Excuse me?
Yeah. Speak
connected
for
to your
yourself.
friends.
Man, I had a horrid time with the beta when the freaking menus and the multiplayer.
Well, listen,
Oh
I
my
didn't say that
gosh.
they had learned their lesson. I said it seems like they're starting to learn their lesson. So we'll need a couple more Monster Hunters to get there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think they're doing tons of really interesting stuff to make it genuinely feel like a new game
Yeah.
with new interesting
Yeah.
things happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I am playing Rise still right now, and I've got like 3 new people that over the past like 2 weeks have started playing it with me.
That's awesome.
And
Fools.
it's just a constant like sorry. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Sorry. Yeah.
That's
No,
just
you
the way
just
it
have to
is.
memorize it. Yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, for real.
How do I do that? I don't know. I don't remember. Hold on, let me Google it for
Yeah. Yeah.
you. But every like last night I was like on a map that I've been on 1,000 times, and
Yeah.
I jumped over a little ledge, and I was like, there's a well here. And then I went down the well. It's a hidden route out to a totally different place.
Wow.
A little
You're in
relic
that,
in it.
that one area with the castles
Yeah.
and all the
Yeah.
ice
And it's
in
like
one area. Yeah.
every time I play that game, there's
Ryan
some-
knows all about it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah.
I only have,
He left me
I
in
think
the
it's like
dust.
400 hours in that game. So.
Yeah.
I did not play Sunbreak on Switch, but I played a lot of the original Rise on Switch, like over 150 hours probably.
Yeah.
And now I have at least 150 hours on the PC as well. And I'm like deep into Sunbreak. And I still, every moment I'm playing that game, I'm like, man, I just want to play Wilds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so weird because normally I would not want to burn myself out on
Yeah.
a game in the same franchise. I would be like staying away from Monster Hunter right now.
Yeah.
But I cannot wait, man. Everything about Wilds feels like when I'm playing Rise, I'm like, man, it's going to be so cool that Wilds is going to let me use 2 different weapons. Like bring 2 different weapons with me. And it's like watching stuff about it yesterday that like there's a huge emphasis on elevation compared to the old games. So your little bird raptor thing that you can ride, it can glide. So there'll be a lot of very intentional like moving up and down instead of just big open spaces.
Yeah.
But the maps are like 2.5 times the size of Worlds maps. So it's just like the improvements, and the maps in Monster Hunter are probably one of my favorite parts of it, that it just feels like totally real place. And the weather effects, they're doing tons of stuff with that I never would have even thought about.
Right.
Have
Yeah.
you guys seen the like tar lands or the like the oil lands or whatever?
No.
There's like a place that's covered in oil, but then like during the day it catches on fire and all the oil burns away, and you see all like these ruins of like a lost civilization.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
at night everything's covered in oil, and you have to traverse everything totally differently.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's like tons of different the environments themselves will like wax and wane in terms of like what you need to do to get through them.
Yeah.
All that stuff seems amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait. And then there's lots of other games that I'm excited about, but
That's the big one for
it's
you.
more of like a wait and see with a lot of them. Like
Yeah.
Doom is obviously going to be great, but they're making a lot of big changes. So I'll wait to see if those are good or bad.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, I know that I'll be playing Wilds all year this year.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be my escape game. And
I love that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Get together with the like 30 people I've amassed into the Monster Hunter universe.
Yeah. You've been planning it ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Everything I learn about it makes me more excited.
Yeah, I agree. Looks incredible.
I think they
Unusual nowadays.
don't they have crossplay like
Yes,
day one.
They
with
do.
that?
This will be the
That's-
first one with crossplay, I believe.
That's a big deal.
That is a
Huge
big
deal because
it's a game changer.
I also have several friends who are like, if you were playing the Rise on Switch, I would play with you. But I either don't have a PC or don't want to play it on PC.
yeah.
You
So
just pat them on their head and turn them around.
it's okay, little baby. Yeah. So yeah, very excited about crossplay as well because
Yeah.
I'll probably have even more people.
I agree.
They should make squads bigger than 4.
That'd be interesting.
It's frustrating to see like games like Monster Hunter and Elden Ring where they get so much right, and then the multiplayer is like,
So
like
wrong.
why can't you get
Just
this
like
part
swimming
right?
upstream.
Yeah.
I know. Just trying to add friends. Like I was like, how do I not know how to do this by now?
Yeah.
But it's always just banging my head against each menu until I find the
Yes.
thing that lets me.
Yeah.
Ugh, yeah, don't get me
Yeah.
started.
Trying to play Wilds together was rough.
It was insane.
It was like, we're friends.
Yeah.
Like in the game.
Yeah.
Then it was like, but you're not hunter buddies or
You're
something
hunter
like that.
buddies?
It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, you're not best friends.
You can talk to each other in town, but you can't hunt together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you trust this man?
Do you trust this man to fight for you? Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the big one.
He could be a monster.
I mean, I'm excited to see, what they
Now it's
and,
Love that.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
Me and
some
Monster
big
Hunter where
announcements for this year.
someone can play as the monster.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's Evolve.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think they have a couple different games like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deliverance 2 I think looks really interesting.
Yeah.
I tried to play the first one. It was on sale for like $3
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
And it's much more immersive sim than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's a good thing in the sense that like I like games that are willing to like go that far in on their design philosophy of like, this is not Skyrim in the Middle Ages.
for sure.
This game is
Yeah.
totally different. But at the same time, I was totally unprepared for the level of tutorial I was going to have to go through.
For what game? I missed it.
Deliverance.
Yeah. Kingdom Come.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Wait, so you tried it?
Yeah. It's really interesting, but it's like buying things is like a 5-step process because
Yeah.
you have to like bargain with them.
have to have chickens
and the bargaining is its own subsystem, like
Yeah.
lock picking was.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
kind of figured
Yeah.
this would be taking
And it's
that
like,
kind of route.
so you need to bargain with people, and if
Yeah.
you bargain in the right way, they might even like you more, and they'll give you a discount. But if you bargain in the wrong way, or if you
It
bargain
seem-
too many times,
yeah.
they'll hate you.
It seems like the kind of game if you don't have all day to play it, then you don't need to be playing it.
You'll play it all day, and it'll be like, oh, I'll finish the quest.
Yes. Yes. I got my sword.
I mean, I've heard. People that I don't normally like, my cousin and my buddy Richard or whatever, who don't seem like those kinds of people that would like that kind of game. Dude, they're like, I can't wait for the second one. I spent
Yeah.
so much time. It's so immersive and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then
that's
when
the
I watch
thing is it
gameplay,
looks so immersive.
I'm like, it looks so rough
Yeah,
though.
it looks-
But I mean,
Well, yeah, and it is rough, but
Yeah.
I mean, look,
But I mean, sometimes when a game just hits, dude,
it is.
it just
Yeah.
sucks you
it's
in.
just well, and that's the thing. It's like honestly, most of the time, I think because of the kinds of games I enjoy, they're typically made by small teams.
Yeah.
And they're very intentional. And that usually means they're very janky because they're probably a little too ambitious for the scope of the team that they have or whatever.
For sure.
So for me, it's just like jank is part of the package.
Yeah.
I
part
accept
of the-
that
yeah.
I will probably have to deal with a certain amount of garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it doesn't bother me as much.
yeah,
There are 2025 games, but I did play the new Sniper Elite,
yeah.
which was so
You played
much
it
fun.
in 2025, so
Yes.
that's what matters.
It is so much fun.
Did you make head explode?
Yes.
Yes.
Haley was with me. I was like, you might want to turn. I'm like, I'm not
I don't
sure.
know that you're going to be real into
Because
this.
I played one of the old Sniper Elites, and they're like one of the pioneers of, slow motion bullets.
Oh, for sure, man.
And
It's
I
great
was
stuff.
like, and this is just going to be like Mortal Kombat style.
But you're
X-ray. Oh, yeah, man.
That's awesome.
It's great.
It's such a weird. Well, I didn't play the newest
You can play
one,
it
but
super goofy, or you can
yeah.
play it super serious.
Yeah.
Like,
It's weird in the sense that like when you kill people, it'll be like, so this was Johnny.
Yeah.
He actually
Even
joined
when you just use your
because his
binocular.
mother's sick
Yeah.
and he needed medicine. He didn't want to be here.
Now
You
watch
just-
his balls explode.
And by the way, today was his last day. Yeah.
I got a
Now
testicle
shoot him in
shot.
the crotch. Yeah.
I got a testicle shot.
Yeah.
With like a machine gun. And I'm like, you zoned in on the one testicle shot I got. That's the kill
You
shot.
didn't have to
apparently.
do all that.
I like shot that dude in the face. And then,
oh man,
They're
that's
like,
so
we know
funny.
so yeah, you just zoom in on somebody and it says, this guy's going to get married as soon as he gets done with fighting the war.
It's,
Right,
I don't
yeah.
know if it's like, I can't tell if I'm just overly empathetic and can't tell that it's satire.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that they're like Jimmy's last day in the war. Or if they genuinely want you to be like, oh, that sucks. But either way, I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to do without a face.
Hope your wife loves you when you're disabled. Yeah, it's wild.
Oh.
Yeah, that's so
Didn't know they had weddings in hell.
yeah. But no, I haven't played it.
Oh.
But it's on Game Pass.
It's on
and you
Game
can do
Pass.
like the whole campaign through co-op too. I think.
Yeah, if someone wants to hop on with me.
Hey,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I am all
Yeah.
in. Today
Dude,
is Saturday.
Today
baby.
is Saturday. Today's a good day to
I
do
will
it.
download that as soon as I get home.
I'm playing it on my Xbox.
Dude,
So
sniping people together in that game sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like sneaking around to get to the right vantage point.
well,
or,
it's just like one person
disguising yourself.
just by myself. Like I'll go and you sabotage like a car and it'll make a bunch of noise. Then you go like
Yeah.
run through the grass and then
That's
get
what
up
I'm
on
gonna
your
do.
sniper tower.
I'm gonna
like,
stand up and
watch
just-
everyone come out.
I'm going to fire my machine gun into the air
Yeah.
and you're just going to snipe everyone who
Exactly.
pops up. That's
Yeah.
I'll just throw bottles from the grass.
Yeah,
and
it sounds great.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And just like tossing people. Like there's like the first level's like a dam, and just like you got to hide the bodies. And there's just a huge dam. And it's just like, and I just, of course, I watch them all the way.
Where would they
down.
go?
And they fall so long. It takes so long.
That's
for
actually
the body
really
to
funny.
disappear.
Just zoom in with the scope on your rifle.
He's just keeps falling.
he's really going.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There we go.
I thought that was water. It's just sky, apparently.
Yeah.
I threw him into the air.
That's one thing about
Yeah.
those games, though, man. Is they're just fun, dude.
Yeah.
They're like video games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
Like,
was
geez,
it was
let me
very
have a good time.
nostalgic.
They really
feeling.
are.
Yeah.
That's a great way of describing them. Those games are video games.
Yeah.
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 They nailed that video game sense.
If you know, you
Yeah.
know.
You
These
know.
are video games.
I played the Shady Part of Me, which is another one on Game Pass, which was interesting, really like poetic and pretty to play. It's slow and it's a puzzle game.
Yeah.
It's not very exciting. I probably played like 30 minutes of it or so.
Okay.
I was impressed
Yeah.
visually and
That's
just
good.
creativity.
Creativity.
Creativitiness.
Just like the way you say creativity.
The creativeness.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one on there that just came on Game Pass? Oh yeah, the Ninja Gaiden 2.
Ninja Gaiden
Yeah.
2.
Which was just a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So playing the Ninja Gaiden and then the Sniper Elite was just like very nostalgic. Like
Yeah.
just felt like some
Video game
good
fun,
games.
man.
Like
Yeah.
they just put a lot of content in there.
Yeah.
If we're talking about games we played, I have been playing Cyberpunk. I bought the DLC.
Yeah. So
And I hadn't played
Finally.
that game. I beat that game when it came out, and I haven't touched it since. So I didn't know what any of the updates or anything were. They've also added modding to that game, which is crazy to me.
oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
But I will say, so I finished the DLC, and the DLC offers you an option to like finish the story. There's like a route you can take that will just go ahead and finish the whole game. But
Interesting.
it's like a bad, like the way that I resolved it, I was like, I saved and quit.
Sorry.
Amateurs.
All
right, you
Working
saved
with
and quit.
amateurs. So I saved and quit. I was like, this is the route I want to take. But I want to see what the alternative route was because it feels like it would be very different if I did the other thing they asked it, if I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I did that, like saved, quit, loaded the save, did the other route that I knew for sure I didn't want to do, and then followed it all the way through. There you go.
Very good.
And followed it all the way through to the end of the actual like game in its entirety. And man, I have never seen everything about it sucked. Everything about it was like, this is like so sad and awful, like so depressing. But it's the best wrap up of a game that I have seen in recent memory. Like,
wow,
they take into account everything, like this dumb little side mission where you decide like this self-driving limo has a like it's a AI and it starts creating alternate versions of itself that are like trying to become free from it. So you'll just see limousines like ramming people and they'll just be like, I'll die first. And then and you can decide whether to like free them or not. And it's just like a joke mission more than anything.
Yeah.
But I chose to free them. And at the end of the game, you're like laying on the street and the limo like pulls up and it's like, hello, V. And like lets you into the limo and takes you to a doctor. It's like all these little details. But it's so interesting because it's like all the details are like,
it's like a Baldur's Gate.
You chose the self-serving option to save your own life. And something happened. And now everyone that ever relied on you, like their life has fallen apart because you chose yourself over them. Yeah. Basically, it's like, but the way that it felt very complete, very like cohesive and very real in the sense that like, yeah, I can definitely see all of these characters doing these things or whatever. Yeah. And then when the credits are rolling, you just get calls from people of being like, why did you do this? Just like different ways of like, yeah, so that thing we were supposed to do together, like we did it and it fell apart. And now like most of us died from that. Would have been cool if you'd been there. So yeah, it's wild.
That makes me think of Baldur's Gate 3, obviously.
But yeah, definitely. But like in a first person shooter, Cyberpunk is totally an open world RPG in that sense. But like I am constantly caught totally off guard by how well that game is written.
Yeah.
Like the voice work, the actual writing of the story, the stuff they explore in that world. Like after replaying that game, it is definitely in my top games of all time. Like I am completely blown away by, and the DLC, incredible.
Yeah.
You can just buy the DLC and like it'll let you jump straight in. If you want to make a new game, it'll just like level a character for you and let you just do that immediately. And that DLC is worth playing alone. Like it's awesome. It's so good. So there's Cyberpunk. That's what I've been playing. I've put another 70 hours into that game so far, and I'm not done with it. So
that made me think of, I don't know if it's coming out this year, but I'm sure you've heard of it. But the people who like the lead, man, I can't remember what that game's called. Some of the people from CD Projekt Red left to make a new game, a vampire game.
I know what you're talking about. Your brother was talking about. Dawson was telling me about this game.
Dawn Breaker or something.
It's weird. It's a weird name. It's like Dawn Riser or something like that.
Yeah. But that's a game I'd like to keep an eye on if it comes out this year.
Yeah.
So because it sounds really cool.
I've only heard mention of it. Have not looked up anything about it or seen anything for it.
Yeah.
That's the new trend I want to see in 2025. Old games that totally failed to meet expectations. Just totally redeeming themselves.
Yeah.
Because No Man's Sky is still releasing huge updates that are like fundamentally changing how that game works. Cyberpunk has done a complete 180 from...
Sure has. Now it's on overwhelmingly positive on Steam now, which is incredible.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's good to see. You know what I mean?
want to see more redemption arcs in 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just good games.
Ark Survival Evolved. I'm looking at you.
Don't stop looking at it.
Don't make eye contact. It'll charge you money.
Ark 2.
Uninstall.
Every time I go to my wish list and I see Ark 2 on my wish list, it's like a joke for me. It's like a little thing I give myself.
I don't wish for
a little
you.
laugh.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see what they do. You know. So there's a lot of cool and I think the big three are finally kind of getting their footing. So we'll see how it goes.
I think they're trying to carve out a more unique identity instead of just competing on the same footing. Yeah, so I'm definitely interested to see how they mess that up.
Yeah. You know what?
We'll be here for it.
Yeah, we will.
You know what game was great is Thank Goodness You're Here.
Oh, man.
Okay. Wasn't it recently on sale?
At some point, I want to do a game awards.
I was not aware. I was not aware of how adult that game is.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I thought that it was kind of like a goofy, fun game like Goose Game. And then
Yes.
I started watching clips of it on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I did not realize that's what this game was.
Yeah, once I saw the mature rating, I was like, nah, I can't download
Yeah, like I saw some reviews.
Yeah.
I saw some reviews and people were like, yeah, it's got some cheeky humor and it's like it's I wouldn't recommend it for kids. It's got some adult situations. And I get into it, it's like it is
It's pretty much
the
exclusively
whole
adult
thing,
situations.
adult situations, but it's you have two controls, which is move around and slap and jump. So three things you can do.
They said it used to be like a full adventure game where you could like interact with stuff and it was like context sensitive, and they were like,
Wait a minute.
It's so much funnier if everything you do, you just smack it,
yeah.
right? Like that all you can do to
sometimes
interact
less
with the
is
world is
more.
The guy that has like the food truck and you slap his butt.
Yeah, and he slams the door.
He go, oh, and then he goes, oh, my peps, and then he slams the door, and then you keep coming back every time he has it open.
Yeah.
And he's got his butt out the window,
My peps.
and he'll slap it. But then, like, I think it's like the third time you slap it, he's like, oh, that felt kind of nice. And then you have to slap it again. He's like, oh, stop it.
That's awesome.
That game is like as British as it could possibly be.
Matt Berry is in it. I had no idea.
Thank goodness you're here.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Which was fantastic.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard him, I was like,
Yeah.
my boy. Yeah, it's great. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll do like a full episode about 2024 because I'm not prepared for that. But I would love to talk about the games that we played and loved.
Was
Yeah,
there
last year.
anything 2025 that you were
No, we're done.
excited
So
about?
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Doom. Basically everything that's coming out in Game Pass because they're releasing a lot of big stuff. So
I'll try anything if it's on Game Pass.
I know that's the best thing about it.
All I need is time.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for retaking that because I did not want that in the episode. Hey, thanks everybody. Glad to be
welcome.
back.
Yeah,
Talon
absolutely.
tried to keep us down, but we wouldn't let him.
That's right.
We're back forever.
No kidding.
We're never ending.
That's right.
And we're going to do more video content soon because I need to finish Resident Evil. I haven't forgotten.
It's gonna be a couple years,
I've just
but we'll
been
get through
too
it.
scared.
We might as well just start a new game now.
No, I know what was happening. I
okay.
fought the Chainsaw Man 100 times,
That's
right.
and then I won. And now I'm
No,
too
you only
scared
fought
to
him
go
3
back
times,
upstairs.
remember? We cut all that out.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I beat him really quickly, actually.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah.
Everybody say game hard, but game easy.
Yeah. It's funny because we're so full of life when you start fighting them, and we're so not full of life
Yeah.
when
At the
we
end.
finally beat them.
Taylor's
We're
just
like,
like,
is it over yet?
I'm like, you guys want me to just stop and we'll do this some other time? And Tan's like, no, man, you got this going.
yeah,
You can do
we
it.
believe in. Yeah.
No, keep going. I don't have anywhere to be.
Yeah, exactly.
If you get 1% better every time, eventually you'll get 100%.
Eventually.
You'll beat this in 100 times.
That's right.
That sounds like hell.
Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And
You're
don't forget
welcome.
to save.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to save.
Don't forget to save.
Okay, great.